Today, we're doing a really simple, really delicious, really easy recipe, cooking tutorial. If you're plant-based or if you're vegan, but your family's not and you're going to Thanksgiving, here is something that you can whip up the night before and just put your plate in the fridge and then heat it up, or you even could do that morning too.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say?
To be clear, Dakota will be doing most of the cooking. I will be doing most of the commentating. So you guys are in for a real treat.
Real treat. Let's get cooking. Okay. So
Stand by.
So we're gonna cook now.
Yay! We cook.
So I currently have a pot of water on the stove. I'm gonna turn it on to high heat or like medium high until it comes up to a boil. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take some golden potatoes and chunk these up and just toss them right in the water and get them boiling.
Mm-hmm. Don't cut yourself. Dakota just sharpened the knives though. Fun fact that I didn't learn. My professor in college said that she liked to keep her knives dull because she was so afraid of getting cut.
Oh, that's the stupidest.
And then we all spent the entire class trying to convince her to please sharpen her knives.
Yeah, dull knives are the #1 cause of injuries in the kitchen.
Yeah, I never knew what happened. It's a mystery.
To her knife.
It was years ago.
Mystery.
It's a great mystery.
Lives on. You can come closer.
Okay. Do they have to be in cubes?
That's the easiest way to cut them. And you're just kind of roughly going for the same size so that they cook at the same rate.
Okay.
I honestly think if you're just trying to make one plate,
Oh, that's a very close up of your face. Hello.
if you're just trying to make one plate of it, you probably only need
That's our trash can.
you only need
It's a small kitchen.
a potato or two. But I'm kind of making food for the whole week because I'm going to be hungry. So I'm probably doing a few more than you need. But probably 1 potato, maybe 2 potatoes is more than enough if you're just cooking for you.
Potato 4.
You tell them, Tails.
I gotta offer something in this video. It's not my cooking expertise.
Okay, that's plenty. So we just have them over here in the water. They're pretty much covered. We're gonna wait until this water comes up to a boil, and then we're gonna reduce it down to just like a light simmer and let them cook. Now we're gonna set the oven to 400, and we're gonna start letting that heat up. And while we're doing that, we're gonna start prepping some Brussels sprouts. So I have 2 bags of Brussels sprouts once again because I'm cooking for like a week's worth of food for me. But if you're just making one meal, a bag is more than enough. A pound is really more than enough. And I'm just halving them because that's how I like my Brussels sprouts. If you want them to cook faster, you can cut them into fourths.
That's how they look. And Brussels sprouts are good. I know that Brussels sprouts for a lot of people, I didn't know they were good until I had them roasted and like had balsamic on them and actually like tried to make them taste good. Because a lot of people steam them and they are horrid.
Well, they're little mini cabbages to a degree. So like if you're not a cabbage fan, you're probably gonna hate them steamed. I loved cabbage as a kid, so I like loved steamed Brussels sprouts.
Oh.
But I'm gonna teach you a trick too, once I'm done cutting them, on how to really simply make your Brussels sprouts taste so good.
Okay. I like them now as long as they're roasted.
Yeah, I like them roasted because they get a little crispy and
Yeah, the crispier the better.
The crispier the better.
Yum yum.
Wait
my scraps. And while I'm cooking, I just put them into a bowl. But what I do later is I take them and I put them in the freezer. Yep, the freezer.
Yep, freezer.
And I wait until I get a gallon-sized bag just full of all sorts of veggie scraps. So it will have broccoli stems in it, it will have Brussels sprouts, it will have carrots, onion, you name it. And then I put it in a big pot, completely cover it with water, and then bring that to a boil and let it simmer for like 4 hours. And then I have homemade veggie broth, and it is so good. And it's just another way to use your scraps that would have turned into trash and help break them down faster.
And you don't have to buy veggie stock from the store.
But you don't have to buy it. And actually what I like to do is once I make it, then I freeze it into little cubes, and then I just keep it in the freezer. So it's never gonna go bad, and I can just take that frozen cube out and it just melts into whatever it is that I want to use the veggie broth in.
Yeah, I'll show you guys. I think there's a bag in there right now.
Yeah, that's
Frozen bag of veggies scraps. Soon to be veggie stock.
okay, so we have 1 pound of Brussels sprouts halved in here. And so what I like to do is I take the lemon pepper oil from Bittersweet Herb Farm. It is to die for. The link will
really
be
good.
below. And I take roughly like 2 tablespoons. And I don't like to measure because ain't nobody got time for that. And then I like to find one tiny teaspoon of salt. And I just sprinkle that over. And then I get weird. And I just massage it all in, make sure that they're coated so that they're gonna get that crispy brownness to them.
Yeah.
Get that salt in there, which is gonna help season them. And then, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna wash off that oil.
These are our plants. I rescued this little guy. He was in pain. Poor thing. Why are there so many rocks in him?
I didn't put any rocks in him.
That's interesting.
You put rocks in him?
I guess so.
I think he came with the rocks.
I think so.
I would assume.
Those are all of our dishes. Maybe we should cut that part out.
I would say hopefully nobody but us has been in our house.
Now what?
I'm just lining a tray, and I really need to get reusable liners because this is super wasteful. But I just don't, I never put things like right on the tray because that's just so messy. And then you have to scrub. And then like, you know what? That's just not a 10 out of 10 experience for me. And I'm all about those 10 out of 10 experiences. Okay.
We use a lot of reusable stuff. So these are actually our paper towels and what we use for paper towels. We'll do another video and explain like in depth why. But if you ever see us using things like this is what we just use for paper towels.
So our oven is not quite up to 400, but once again, I am not like a recipe cookbook kind of gal. I'm like wing it and it all tastes good kind of gal. So I'm just gonna pop these in now. But what I know is because it's about 100 degrees cooler than I want it to be, I'm probably gonna have to add an additional 5 minutes to it than what I normally would add. So,
Pop them in.
Right on the top rack. And then I'm gonna put a timer on for 35 minutes and we'll check and see how they are then. If your oven was preheated to 400, you could start with 30 minutes. Great. I'm gonna do that later. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start making some okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start making some gravy. I was like, what is the word for that? Or beeping. Okay, we're gonna start making the gravy now. So we need a whisk, and we're gonna put about like half a cup of water, and then we're gonna put 1 tablespoon of flour in. And you want to put the water in first, otherwise it could get really chunky. And then we're just gonna whisk that in. And really right now we just have floury water. And that's delicious. Ladies and gents, that's where hopes and dreams are made in that pot.
And this is how our potatoes are doing.
Yep, we reduced the heat down a little bit because they were getting ready to start boiling over. So this gravy, we're just gonna keep whisking, and you can see it's thickening up now. And we're gonna start by adding, you could use milk when making this. I just don't have a dairy-free milk that doesn't have like coconut in it right now, so I'm using veggie broth, which adds a really nice flavor to it.
Why couldn't they use coconut milk?
So I have a sweetened coconut milk. So it's like desserty. It's like what you put in your tea. But you could use, it would just have it would have that coconut flavor to it.
Yeah.
So I like to use like a unflavored, unsweetened almond milk when I'm making it, or like an oat milk would be really good. But like canned coconut milk is definitely gonna have a very distinct flavor in there, or like any of those sweet coffee creamers, that's gonna have a distinct flavor in there. So now we're gonna take about a tablespoon of butter. We're gonna add that in, and that's gonna make it creamy and delicious. And we're gonna let that melt in and just keep whisking that in. And you'll see when you're making your gravy that it's something you kind of have to like stand over and baby until you get it to where you want it to be. Because the flour is just gonna keep absorbing and expanding the liquid that you add to it. My mom just always wung it, and that's how I did it too. And it always just turned out great. Okay, so the secret that we always did is we added a little bit of tamari to it.
And then what do we use for that? What kind?
I just use this one. But anyone could work. I just like tamari better than soy sauce because, and this is probably like a tablespoon of it, because it's gluten-free. No,
Okay.
it's soy-free. And the one I get is gluten-free too. It's gluten and soy-free.
And I feel like tamari has less sodium in it. Like soy sauce can taste super salty.
Yeah, I can. It's really strong. I've never been a big soy sauce fan or even really that big of a tamari fan, but I like it better. Okay. And we're going to start cooking up our sausages now.
And what kind of plant-based sausage do you use?
So we got like Beyond Meat, and we just got the original this time.
Okay.
I don't know if I've had these before. Have you?
I think you've made them before. I don't remember when.
sausages?
Yeah. I don't remember when or why, but I don't think it was like that big of a meal. I think we were like running around doing something. And it was before, it might even be before I moved out here, and we just grabbed it real quick and you made it for me. And it was like, we did like grinders or something. I don't know. Do people call them grinders out here? Or hoagies? Or subs?
I know they call them hoagies in the Midwest.
Ow.
We call them grinders at home.
Yeah. If you're in California, what do you call them out here?
Yeah. Comment below.
Comment below.
Tell us
We say
yours.
grinders.
So I'm just checking that. I was just checking the
Potatoes.
Yeah.
And that's olive oil that you put down in the pan, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny how he's like eating juice, kind of like
Sausages too. Yeah.
So I grew up as vegetarian my whole life, and then, well, not my whole life, the majority of the beginning of my life, and then my brother wanted to be normal, so he made my mom start cooking meat for him. And I remember like the first Thanksgiving that we had, like an actual turkey, and my mom was like, oh, like, am I supposed to make meat, like, gravy? And then she like couldn't find the giblets, and then she just like threw it all in a pot, and we were all like, oh no.
Did it taste okay?
I don't know, I didn't have it. I stayed vegetarian like the longest out of everyone in the family when we started like transitioning into eating meat. And now I'm the one who's vegan, so.
It's stuck.
Makes sense.
Those are the sausages. They're coming along. The gravy's starting to thicken a little bit.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving memory?
Mine?
Yeah.
So my dad, actually, I didn't even say this on the Spill the Booze that we did about Thanksgiving. My dad's brother and his wife used to come up, my Uncle Rob and my Aunt Kathy used to come up, and they used to, and they didn't have kids, and they were like crazy Aunt Kathy and Uncle Rob, but I used to hide in the laundry room from them when they first came, because I was always super scared of like new people in my house, and then I would come out and he would read me Bernstein Bear books, in the big armchair, and then after dinner we would all be so full, and I would lie on our lighthouse rugs that we had, even though we had a very like country house, we had a lighthouse rug. And he used to tell me stories about like when he was like in his 20s and like fell asleep at green lights and like just did weird things.
Yeah.
And I got to learn about like my crazy Uncle Rob.
Yeah.
And I really like love those memories too now, because like both my Aunt Kathy and my Uncle Rob are deceased. So like it's just such fond memories of like those relatives that like aren't here in the physical anymore.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
I think like the Thanksgiving prayer at my family was always a big deal. I don't know how I got roped into it so many times. I think because no one else would want to do it. And they were like, Haley can do it. I don't know why. I have like 50-something people in my family. And I don't understand why. They were like, one of the youngest kids can do it. But they like had me do it. And then it was like fine to do it, but my grandfather definitely does it the best. Like my grandfather is like super well spoken, and like and when he walks into a room, he just kind of like demands this presence. Like for so long, when I thought of like just like the sacred masculine, like he was definitely embodying it and the person I would think of. And so like whenever he would sit at the head of the table, and like we have this huge long table at Thanksgiving to be able to fit everybody. And it's literally the length of a room, and then it goes down like one part of the house into another. And then the kids, which is my aunts and my uncles and my parents, and then their significant others, would always sit at one side of the table, and then all the grandkids would always sit at the other side of the table. And so like I got to like hang out with like my cousins, and like we would always have so much fun on that side, and there was so much laughter. And like my cousin Kristen, who is the oldest out of all of us, always would sit at the end, and it would be her and then my grandfather, and she'd always be like, "Hi, Grampy!" And then we're like a very competitive, like pretty aggressive like family. We're a family of like athletes, and it definitely like comes through. And I remember one time, it was like one of the first Thanksgivings that my cousin Kristen, who was at the end of the table, his husband had with us. And as soon as the prayer is over, like how everyone sets it up is there's tinfoil on all of the dishes, so no one really knows like what's really in front of them, but everyone's peeking because the stuffing was always the hot commodity. So everyone's trying to position themselves like by the stuffing. And as soon as like the prayer is over and you say amen, you just see like 50 people like lunging for food. And I'll never forget looking at my cousin's husband, I think it was her boyfriend at the time, and he looked so scared and terrified that she actually had to take his plate for him and be like, "You can't do that here," and like just started like grabbing food for him and just like, "You take what you get," and then just like threw it in his face. She's like, "Okay," and he just started eating it, and he was just like, then he wanted seconds. She's like, "Do you want more?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, let me give me your plate." And it's just a free-for-all. And then I would always sit next to my cousin Ricky, and he was left-handed, so we were always like elbowing each other for more food. It was very aggressive.
That was not my Thanksgivings at all.
But it was always so funny. And then we would always play like spoons afterwards, which is a card game. But that had to stop because I think we broke the table, and then everyone started bleeding because we used metal spoons, and we started fighting over it, and so like people get cuts and blood was drawn, and so my grandmother was like, "You can't do that anymore." But that was always fun.
That's hilarious. No, we used to bring out like the family heritage china and set it with like, I think that's how I learned how to set a table, because I wasn't a hospitality student yet, and everyone struggled with it so much in like classes, and I was like, "Oh no, like my Uncle Rob taught me," and we had like heritage silver and like candor aura bras on the table, and like everything went into the Wallace silver that we had that had like my grandma's initials on it, and like it was fancy. But then like my family, so then it was like trashy. And then my dad would always cry about something because he'd have to give the toast and he'd like get emotional.
It's fancy with a hit of country.
Yeah. It's Wallace. It's like a tuxedo t-shirt, you know? So I took the gravy off the heat because it really got to like the consistency I wanted it to, and I knew it was thicking up a little bit. These potatoes are almost done. And the sausage actually could probably get turned down to low or almost done too. We have about 18 minutes left on
Brussels
sprouts, which means I'm gonna drain these taters and get to mashing.
You mash those taters.
Oh, I'm gonna mash these taters like they never done mashed. And this is another place where I could have had some unsweetened dairy-free milk as well. But I'm gonna do it with some butter and some veggie broth, and it's gonna be so delectable. So, I'm gonna add about half a cup of veggie broth in there. And then I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons. I love Earth Balance. The soy free is my favorite. So really all of them are delicious and you can't go wrong. I'm gonna add like 2 heaping tablespoons because I'm not watching my figure, are you? It's
No.
the holidays.
Do you need to turn that back burner off, or are you?
I'm gonna probably heat it up on that again, but I can turn it off for now.
Smash! With love.
What was your favorite food on Thanksgiving?
My grandmother's stuffing. Because it's like a 2-day process too. So we actually start cooking the stuffing on Wednesday. And there's so many of us that we have to actually like take like 2 big plastic bins and mix it and make it in there. And we actually use like a cracker base. And so it was like a thing where I would come home early for school and go straight to my grandmother's house because I grew up next to my grandparents. And we would go and like help, and it was almost like a pre-Thanksgiving. Like there was always like snacks, and someone would bring food because a lot of my aunts would come over. My uncle was always there the day before too, and we would like, and my grandmother made this like really, really good bread, and like homemade bread, and so we would always snack on that the day before and be eating like the stuffing, and it would smell so good, and that was always like my favorite one. So probably because of the process too, but it also just like tasted really good. That was always something people fought over. As soon as anyone's done eating, it's a theme of my family, they immediately get up and they bring their own Tupperware and immediately just start throwing stuffing into it, and they're fighting afterwards too to make sure that there's enough stuffing.
Would not survive it. I would be like dead.
You just learn. You learn your ways. You learn your way around. The gardeners are a very competitive bunch.
Yeah, apparently. So since we have a little time, one thing I like to do to like make my mashed potatoes extra fun is I like to put a little fresh garlic in them and have garlic mashed potatoes. Also gives you really great breath, so everyone wants to make out with you. But since it's a family holiday, it just prevents those aunts from asking you if you're still single.
Which they will.
They always do.
Now they ask why.
And I feel like, you know what, Aunt Gigi? I'll tell you if I'm not single.
Do you want to know? It's like, do you really want to know why?
I don't know, because I just don't want to date right now. I don't even know the answer to your question.
Men are exhausting. I don't know what to tell you.
You took a me break?
Haley needed a break. I was tired.
It's hard keeping track. It's like the Hunger Games out there now. Crispy and delicious, and that's your Thanksgiving meal. I'll plate it up and then you can see what it looks like.
Yay!
There you go. Thanks, good. Haley, you tried these. What did you think of these mashed potatoes?
They were so good. I sounded surprised. I wasn't surprised because Dakota's a very, very good cook.
But like, you're like, oh, how good could a potato made of like water really be?
Yeah, kinda.
That garlic really though, like, does a ton.
Yeah, really, you can taste it.
I think I'm gonna have just one sausage because I'm not crazy hungry right now.
And then Brussels sprouts.
All the Brussels sprouts. And of course, like, you can make squash or you can make other things if you want, or like eat some of the salad that everyone else is having, but that's our little Thanksgiving meal.
There it is.
Delicious.
Yay!
Might throw another guy on. bit.